Most gardeners pick shrubs the same way I did for the first 15 years I had a garden. You walk into a nursery, you grab whatever is blooming, you bring it home, and you find a spot where it fits. And then you spend the next several years wondering why your yard never quite looks the way you imagined it would. The plants are healthy, they come back every spring, and still something is missing. The garden looks like every other garden on the street, and you cannot put your finger on exactly why. I eventually figured out that the missing piece was almost never money. It was knowledge. Specifically, knowing which shrubs deliver color, structure, and genuine drama across multiple seasons, and which ones just fill space and make nothing happen. The difference between a garden that makes people slow down when they drive past it and one that goes completely unnoticed is almost always down to a handful of plant choices, and most of those choices cost the exact same amount at the nursery. Here are 7 shrubs you can put in the ground this June. By the time we get to number 1, you will understand exactly why some gardens look like they cost a fortune and others never quite get there, no matter how much gets spent on them. If you are new here, welcome to the Gardening Grandma. Hit that subscribe button right now. Let us get into it. Shrub number 7, Weigela. Weigela is the plant that looks like the most high-maintenance shrub in the garden and turns out to be one of the least demanding things you will ever grow. In full bloom, it is extraordinary. Trumpet-shaped flowers in deep red, hot pink, or coral, packed so densely across every branch that the foliage almost disappears beneath them. First-time visitors to a garden with established Weigela almost always assume it is something rare and expensive. It is neither. June planting catches the tail end of the spring bloom and drops the plant into warm soil with the entire summer ahead to build roots. By next spring, it returns fuller and denser, and a well-rooted second-year Weigela looks like a completely different plant from the one that came home in a nursery pot. Hardy from zones 4 through 9, full sun delivers the heaviest bloom. Partial shade works, but the flower count drops noticeably, and that color density is the entire reason you are growing this plant. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. Weigela blooms on old wood. The branches it produced last season are the ones carrying this season's flowers. Most gardeners shear it into a tidy, rounded shape in early spring, congratulate themselves on neat garden keeping, and then spend the entire summer wondering why it barely blooms. They pruned off every single flower bud that had been quietly developing since autumn. My rule now is simple. Prune Weigela immediately after flowering ends in late spring, never before. That one timing adjustment is the difference between a sparse, disappointing plant and one covered in color from 15 feet away. Compact varieties like Wine and Roses stay at 4 feet and fit beautifully in smaller beds without sacrificing any of the drama. Shrub number 6, Ninebark. Ninebark is the most underrated shrub on this entire list, and it belongs in far more gardens than it currently occupies. The foliage comes in deep burgundy, copper, or bright chartreuse depending on the variety, and unlike most colored leaf shrubs that fade to a washed-out version of themselves by midsummer, ninebark holds that color hard from spring straight through to fall. In winter, after the leaves drop, the bark begins to peel back in papery layers, revealing cinnamon and cream tones underneath. That exfoliating bark makes it one of the very few ornamental shrubs that genuinely earns its space in all 4 seasons without a single flower to its name. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. Ninebark's root system is so aggressive and so deep that it has actually been used in ecological restoration projects to stabilize eroding stream banks. That root architecture is what makes it extraordinarily drought-tolerant once established. My rule now is simple. Plant it in full sun, especially morning sun, and give it the whole warm season to drive roots deep. Burgundy varieties in full sun develop a near-black richness that looks extraordinary against light stone, white fencing, or silver-leafed companions. Move 9 bark into shade and the color washes out to a dull greenish brown, and you lose the entire reason you planted it. Hardy from zones 2 through 8, making it one of the most cold-resilient ornamental shrubs available at any price point. Shrub number 5, Loropetalum. Most ornamental shrubs make you choose between dramatic foliage and showy flowers. Loropetalum refuses that trade entirely. Deep burgundy, near black foliage, and covering it simultaneously, twisted fringe-like flowers in vivid magenta pink. That contrast between the darkest possible leaf color and the most electric possible flower color creates an effect that looks intentional and expensive in a way that most plants simply cannot achieve. It does not look like something that grew. It looks like someone made a very deliberate design decision and then executed it perfectly. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. Loropetalum blooms multiple times a year. Spring is the heaviest flush, but a second flush pushes in fall. For gardeners who give it a light trim right after spring flowering ends, skip that trim and the second flush is thin and scattered. My rule now is simple. A light cutback right after the spring flowers fade, and you get 2 full displays from one plant in a single season. Hardy from zones 7 through 9, which makes it the shrub for gardeners in the South, the Pacific Coast, and mild transition zones. In colder northern zones, it becomes your statement container plant, moved inside before first frost, brought back out every June, performing better in a pot than most plants do in the ground. Place it against a white wall or along a light stone path, and it stops people in their tracks every single time. Shrub number 4, Fothergilla. This is the one that serious gardeners grow quietly, while everyone else plants the same things they planted last year. And it is long past time it got the attention it deserves. Fothergilla produces bottlebrush-shaped flower clusters in pure white with a honey fragrance strong enough to carry across the garden on a still morning. Those flowers arrive in spring before the foliage fills in fully, so the blooms appear almost suspended against bare branches, an effect that looks architectural and genuinely unlike anything else flowering in a garden at that time of year. But the flowers are not even Fothergilla's best feature. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. In autumn, Fothergilla produces multicolored fall foliage in orange, red, and yellow simultaneously, on the same plant, often on the same branch. Different cells within a single leaf accumulate pigment at different rates, which means one branch can display 3 distinct colors at the same time. No other common ornamental shrub does this as reliably or as dramatically. My rule now is simple. Plant it in full sun or partial shade. It is one of the few genuinely flexible shrubs on this list, and let it settle through the warm season before its fall color display. Hardy from zones 4 through 9, a native plant that supports local pollinators without any spraying and requires almost nothing once it is established. We are halfway through. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these you are adding to your garden this June. I read every single one. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do. New gardening tips every week right here. Shrub number 3, Itea. Itea, commonly called Virginia sweetspire, earns its place in the garden twice over, once in summer and once in autumn, and does both so well that it almost feels like 2 completely different plants sharing the same root system. In midsummer, it produces long, gracefully arching clusters of small white flowers that cascade from every branch tip like a soft waterfall. The fragrance is sweet and genuine, not overpowering, but present in a way that reaches you before you reach the plant. Pollinators find it intensely. A flowering Itea in July is one of the most visited plants in any garden at a time of year when many shrubs have finished entirely and left a gap in the border. Then autumn arrives and Itea does something no plant at this price point has any right to do. The foliage turns scarlet. Not a dull brownish red, not a patchy fade, a deep, burning, pure scarlet that intensifies as temperatures drop and holds for weeks longer than most fall color shrubs. In a garden full of plants going quietly dormant, a well-established Itea in October looks like something is on fire. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. Unlike most spectacular fall color shrubs that require full sun to develop their best tones, Itea produces that scarlet display in partial shade. It does not just tolerate shade, it thrives in it. My rule now is simple. If you have a shaded border that needs four-season interest and cannot figure out what to put there, Itea is almost always the answer. Hardy from zones 5 through 9. It stays 3 to 5 feet, spreads gradually by suckering to form a natural colony, and requires almost nothing once it is established. Shrub number 2, Snowball Viburnum. Snowball Viburnum is the shrub that looks like it belongs in an estate garden photographed for an architecture magazine, and costs the same as any other shrub at your local nursery. Those blooms are exactly what the name promises: perfect spherical clusters of pure white flowers, some reaching the size of a softball, covering every branch in late spring and holding into early summer. Nothing in the ornamental shrub world produces a bloom cluster quite like it in terms of scale, density, and sheer visual weight. Visitors see it and immediately ask what it is, where it came from, and what it cost. The answers are always simpler than they expect. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. Those flower clusters do not open white. They open lime green, a soft, clear architectural green that is arguably more beautiful than the fully white stage. Gardeners who cut stems for indoor arrangements at the green stage bring something into their home that looks like it came from a high-end floral studio. My rule now is simple. Watch for that green stage and cut a few stems for the house before they open fully. Your garden produces those arrangements for free. Hardy from zones 3 through 8, full sun to partial shade, one of the few truly show-stopping flowering shrubs that does not penalize you for imperfect light. It reaches 8 to 12 feet at maturity, so give it genuine space rather than cramping it into a spot where it will need constant cutting back. And now number 1, Smokebush. Everything on this list delivers. Smokebush is in a different category entirely. By midsummer, it produces billowing plumes in hazy pink and burgundy that float above the foliage the way actual smoke drifts and hangs in still air, combined with deep purple to near black leaves that catch light differently at every hour of the day. The effect is not just beautiful, it is theatrical. It looks like something a set designer placed deliberately to create a mood. People see it for the first time and genuinely do not believe it is a plant. Here is what most gardeners never discover until the damage is already done. Smokebush does not want your good soil. It does not want careful feeding. It originated in rocky, dry, nutrient-poor regions across southern Europe and Central Asia, and that heritage runs deep. Give it rich amended soil and excess fertilizer, and it makes a very clear decision. It grows aggressively and it does not bloom. The plant prioritizes one or the other: lush vegetative growth or a full flowering display. Nitrogen tells it to grow. Lean, poor, dry soil tells it to perform. My rule now is simple. This is one of the rare plants in horticulture where deliberate neglect produces a dramatically better result than careful attention. The same logic applies to water. Once established, Smokebush wants to dry out between waterings and handles drought that would stress most ornamental shrubs without any visible sign of struggle. Overwatering is one of the fastest ways to kill it slowly. Well-draining soil is not a preference. It is a requirement. Hardy from zones 4 through 9. Full sun is not optional if the color is the reason you want it, and it always is. 7 shrubs, all of them going in the ground this June. Every single one built to deliver the kind of color, structure, and drama that most gardeners spend years and serious money chasing without ever quite reaching it, and every single one available at the same price as the forgettable things filling the rest of the nursery. Pick the one on this list that surprised you most and drop its name in the comments. I read every single one. If this helped you, hit subscribe and share it with one gardener who keeps wondering why their yard never quite looks the way they want it to. The answer is almost always a plant choice, and now you know which ones to make. Until next time, happy gardening, take care of yourselves, and take care of those beautiful gardens of yours.